Hello, friends. This is Professor Guglov. Today's video will be a little unusual, but I'm sure you will like it. So, get comfortable and let's go. Elvis Presley's private plane. Elvis Presley lived like a king, and of course, he had his own private planes. He owned 3 planes that he used for both business travel and leisure. He sold the first 2 planes but later repurchased them and parked them on the grounds of the hotel where they remain to this day. Elvis purchased the 3rd plane, a 1962 Loki Jetstar, as a Christmas gift to himself in 1976, just 8 months before his death. The king paid $840,000 for the plane, which is equivalent to approximately $4.4 million today. After Elvis' death, the plane was sold and ended up at the Roswell International Air Center in New Mexico, where it was forgotten until relatively recently when it was decided to put it up for auction. Judging by the external condition of the plane, it has deteriorated significantly. It was clearly abandoned for many years, with engines and many cockpit components stripped, and the paint noticeably faded. The interior features rotating seats in red velvet, designed for 6 passengers. The cabin is adorned with gold and suede. There's a red carpet aisle, a bathroom with a VCR and cassette player, which were considered quite modern at the time. It appears that the plane was customized to Elvis' taste, but it's unclear how often he actually used it during the short period he owned it. In early 2023, on what would have been the singer's 88th birthday, the plane was sold for $260,000. Spirit of Rochester. Now let's talk about water transportation, specifically a boat called the Spirit of Rochester. From 1986 to 2004, this vessel provided lunch and dinner cruises along the Genesee River in northern New York State. It was a significant event at the time, attracting thousands of visitors to the area. The boat was named after the city where it was based. It was quite large, accommodating over 500 passengers. It all started when a local businessman named Donald decided to organize small cruises in honor of Rochester's 150th anniversary in 1984. He restored and brought the boat from Connecticut to Rochester. Initially, the business was slow, but it gained momentum over time and became very popular among locals and tourists. Donald recouped his investment within 2 years, and the revenues remained consistently high until 2004. Unfortunately, in 2004, the Spirit of Rochester collided with a tugboat, causing a hole in its hull. The boat was sent for repairs, but it couldn't be ready for the 2006 season. Eventually, the boat was sold, and the new owners started the renovation process, but it appears that they abandoned the boat at some point. Since 2017, the Spirit of Rochester has been slowly decaying near the Genesee River without any hope for a bright future. It's sad to see a once significant vessel for the area simply sitting there, deteriorating. It's even intriguing to wonder what will happen to the Spirit of Rochester in the coming years. Narco trafficker's submarine. Imagine this. 3 snorkels sticking out of the water. It may seem like a great day at the beach, but for the Coast Guard, it's not a good sign. They discovered a homemade Narco submarine filled with weapons, AK-47s, and explosives. The nearly 15-meter-long vessel earned the nickname Snowman. It was found in 2009 off the coast of western Florida. According to Admiral Joseph Nimitz, the head of the Joint Interagency Task Force, rumors of a semi-submersible craft had reached the Coast Guard long before the vessel was actually located. This particular boat was one of 3 found but was unique because it was hand-built in Colombia. The name, Snowman, became synonymous with all smugglers' submarines due to their stealthiness. Much was said about these boats, but few had actually seen them. Building a submarine is a hard thing to hide, but the cartels have their secrets. Along the Colombian Pacific coastline, there are mangrove forests that provide reliable cover for various activities. While traveling on a homemade submarine is dangerous, it offers the opportunity to earn a lot of money since it can transport much more illicit cargo than overland routes. Authorities have a hard time detecting these submarines not only because they are underwater but also because they are often painted dark blue and camouflaged to blend in with the sea. It is believed that dozens of narco submarines reach the U.S. shores unnoticed every year. The war against smugglers and drug traffickers is an ongoing problem for the United States. Ilyushin, Illinois 76. Now let's talk about the Soviet-made Illinois 76 aircraft that was used to deliver aid to eastern Turkey after several major earthquakes in 2011. The aircraft clipped the wing of another Illinois 76 during towing back to the runway and was rendered inoperable. It was left abandoned at the airport for a whopping 11 years until the Turkish government announced plans to auction it off in 2022 for only 400,000 Turkish liras, or approximately $21,500. The condition of the aircraft turned out to be better than expected as the cockpit remained untouched. However, it is still unknown whether the aircraft was sold, to whom, and for how much. Submarine U-475 Black Widow. Let's dive into the depths of the ocean and hear the story of the Soviet submarine U-475 Black Widow. This 92-meter-long vessel served in the Baltic Fleet until it was decommissioned in 1994. Later, the submarine was sold to a private buyer who turned it into a floating maritime museum in London, and then in 1998, the submarine was relocated to Folkestone. In 2004, the museum was moved to the River Medway near Rochester, England. The submarine, in a damaged condition, awaits restoration. Abandoned locomotive. In the rural countryside of Indiana, there remains an abandoned Amtrak locomotive. Presumably, it is a gas turbine locomotive built in the 1970s, standing along Highway 54 outside the small town of Dunga. The locomotive is coated with Ralston ship paint, lacks windows, doors, and headlights. Little is known about its history, but experts estimate the locomotive to be around 50 years old. Submarine K19. Did you know that the USSR built 9 atomic submarines back in the 1950s? One of them was the K19 submarine, which was intended to be the main competitor to the latest American nuclear submarines. However, the K19 submarine fell short of expectations and faced numerous mechanical problems and accidents. In fact, the submarine nearly sank several times. Despite all this, the K19 remained in service until 1990. In 2002, it was towed to a shipyard with plans to scrap it. However, that's not where its story ended. Vladimir Romanov, a veteran of the Russian Navy who once served on the K19, couldn't bear to see the submarine scrapped. He bought a part of the submarine and transported it to the shore of the Pavlovskoye Reservoir. His plan was to use the cabin as a meeting place for veterans of naval forces from Russia and other countries. However, the idea was controversial considering the tragic history of the K19. Romanov's plans did not receive support, and at the moment, the salvaged part of the submarine functions as a memorial while the transformation into a meeting place for veterans is postponed indefinitely. Well, as I promised, the video was interesting. So, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.